Cemetery Department to deposit fees charged for weekend burials and to authorize the cemetery commissioners to expend such funds for wages associated with such burials and to expend such funds for cemetery capital improvements, provided that the amount to be expended for fiscal year 2014 shall not exceed $8,000. C, revolving fund for the Board of Appeals, to deposit application fees and to authorize the Board of Appeals to expend such funds to pay for expenses and salaries related to hearings and applications. Fees collected by the chair or the designee may be deposited to this account, provided that the amount to be expended for fiscal year 2014 shall not exceed $3,000. And D, revolving fund for the Board of Health, to deposit receipts collected from the sale of recycling equipment and disposal of recyclable goods, and to authorize the Board of Health to expend such funds to expand the recycling program, provided that the amount to be expended in fiscal year 2014 shall not exceed $10,000. Yes.
Are those historical numbers that we've used
Yep,
typically?
I believe so.
Is that based upon receipts or just?
Yeah.
Same numbers as last year and based on historical receipts. Every year can be a little high or a little low depending, but based on historical numbers.
Because I'd like to see the receipts.
Are the
on
revolving
those.
funds included in the budget versus actual? No.
Because my concern would be that if you're asking not to exceed that number, they may not end up having even anywhere close to that as receipts.
Bob?
I believe it's based on a certain percentage of that, whatever they can collect. So, in other words, only go up so much.
I think these numbers are pretty close to last year's, if not the same.
They are the same as last year.
Yeah.
Same as last year.
So, 33. Okay.
This one, salaries related to hearings and applications. Who's getting paid?
Is that the Board of Appeals or?
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, the Board of Appeals one, Jeff, do you know, it says to expend such funds to pay for expenses and salaries related to hearings and applications.
Right.
Whose salaries?
Actually, there's a clerk to the zoning board of appeal with, I think, a $200 or $500 amount in it. Maybe you should call it stipend instead, but the reason for that revolving fund is we have very few ZBA hearings, 1 or 2 a year. It can happen that they become large legal affairs. And typically, those who are bringing the appeal must pay the bill and must pay fees and costs associated with their appeal. So the purpose for the revolving fund is to allow a deposit to be put on account for an attorney that the town needs to hire or a specialist, an engineer that the town needs to hire. The appellant will have to pay us, it goes into the revolving fund and we expend out of it. The question you asked is about salaries. That's sort of antique language because we eliminated the position, but there is a clerical cost of, it's either 200 or 500.
It should be rewritten somehow because I believe it's against the state law for us to take salaries out of revolving funds.
So we could just delete the words "to pay for expenses related to hearings and applications," delete the words "and salaries" from the article.
Because if you have to pay for a lawyer, that's an expense.
Right, right.
Yes, Pat?
If that's true, then Ginny, how about B? For such funds for wages associated with such burials.
I think there's a special
Yeah, that one's okay.
consideration for that one written into the law. It's been a long time since I dealt with that, but is Dan still here? He knows about that.
It's, the key words in B, Pat, are weekend burials.
Right.
It makes the people who want a weekend burial pay a premium because the labor has to be paid time and a half.
Sure.
And so, I don't know, they charge an additional fee, it goes into the revolving fund, and then our wages are pulled out of the balance.
Sure, I understand. I just.
I don't know why 8,000 is lot of money,
Yeah,
actually,
I'll,
back to Will's question. I
happens
don't
quite
know
a
how many
bit.
weekend burials we do,
I'll
Quite a
but
bit.
research what I have about that. I
so
know.
maybe half that amount would be plenty.
People are dying to get in there.
Yeah,
Hey,
Oh, stop it.
that's bad.
the place is filling up fast.
Come on.
Any other questions on 33? 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide a sum of money for the stabilization fund, or to take any other action relative thereto. Are we gonna have any money for stabilization?
Probably not. I don't know.
Maybe?
I think so, but that's why it's
It's
ace
there
on
just
that.
in
It's
case.
there in case, that's one that was omitted in the previous draft, I
Right.
stuck in, because you can pass it over, there's no money. If there
Right.
is, it'd be nice to put it in.
We've always had that article in when we
All right,
had.
30, yep,
I had a question about the placement of it.
yep.
It's usually after all
After every, yeah.
the
in
money
end.
articles are
Yeah.
done? Just
Which-
because,
And I
You don't wanna
believe
put it
you've got
in-
zoning, and then you have nothing afterwards but bylaw changes, and
so there's
Citizens
no money after
petitions.
that, okay.
I'll double check, I'm with you completely and agree,
Right.
but,
Well, as we read them, we'll see.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Article 35, to see if the town will vote to appropriate a sum of money from the fire department ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation account, a sum of money to fund ambulance department operations.
That's the second one that I added.
Yep.
You remember, we created this account.
Yep.
We primed it this year with $20,000, and all of the money this year from ambulance receipts flows into that account. This is a sort of a placeholder article in that there's no amount here that says when we appropriate town budget dollars, we can reach in and appropriate from this account whatever amount the board, the accountant, and the ambulance
Well,
fire
this-
chief agree is an appropriate amount to fund ambulance operations for fiscal 14. So there's no number there, but there's money to be appropriated.
Okay. But there will be a number there.
At town meeting, there will be a number.
Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide the sum of $20,000 for the reserve fund, or to take any other action relative thereto.
I think we need to raise that.
Okay.
Yeah, why is that just 20? We
It
get
could be
30
15,
last year?
30, or any
We got
number you
30.
want.
We actually, in our budget, we actually put in 50 because we anticipated problems this year, especially towards the end of the year, and especially with this coming year. The advisory board looked at, we would probably have additional needs again.
Did you spend any of your 30 this year?
Not yet, we're
As much?
You never know,
They're not gonna get it past him anyway.
All right, so,
whatever number you want.
Good.
I'll state the obvious, any money you put in the reserve is forced savings, money you can't appropriate to any other purpose, like the police, fire, schools, payroll, or anything else.
We did put 50,000 in our budget for reserve, emergency reserve.
For years, we had 40 in there.
right, that
Right,
was,
I mean, I looked at past years, and we were as high as 60,000 or above.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been-
Yeah, that was before
Yeah.
2000, yeah,
yeah, I think it needs to be more than 20.
Okay,
absolutely.
So,
so throw a number and we can vote on it.
Well,
And then where are we gonna get it?
Well,
It's
that's,
saying 50, but for a lot of years, we had it at 40, so
I'll go with 40.
let's go with 40 for now, and then
Okay, so you're making that motion?
I'll move to put 40,000 into that instead of 20.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay.
Article
Any
36.
discussion?
I just have one question, why wouldn't this be coming under our budget, Mr. Coordinator?
Because our process is flawed.
Okay.
The green sheets, the green sheets are not an all-inclusive town budget.
Okay.
Don't ask me why. Short-term debt is on the green sheet, long-term debt is voted outside the green sheet. Narragansett is voted outside the green sheet, Monty Tech is voted outside the green sheet. Those are all questions that I have about the process.
Because I saw that as an expenditure under the advisory budget, basically.
There is a line on the green sheet for...
I wondered why this wasn't
you can
submitted.
build it in here, if it's the interest or the sense of the board. There's a line on the green sheet for this item
Right.
under advisory, emergency reserve. we'll put it here and we'll delete Article 36.
I-
That's
I would-
fine
Okay.
too.
That would save you, I looked at it last year as, that was an extra article that we really didn't need.
Right.
It should be on the green sheet.
And if it's got a spot for it, we might as well just put it there and get rid of 36 altogether.
If that's the intention of the board, I'd be happy to do that.
That's,
And why is this article not, why is this submitted by us and not by Will anyway?
I'm just
You
using
just
last year as
asked.
guidance. You know, last year it was submitted by the select board, and it was
Okay.
in the amount of 15,000, and at
And
town
I-
floor, it was doubled to 30.
See,
I
that-
chose 20 as a starting point for this discussion, because it was 15 last year. So you can see it's kind of wobbling down the road.
All right, so.
Move to strike Article 36?
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take a
And put
motion in that.
40,000 on the green sheet.
I'll take a motion for that.
Move to strike Article 36 and to move the 40,000 to the green sheet.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Everybody understand?
Before you vote?
Yes.
Next year, we'll have a very different process. The software you voted on, Vadar, has its internal budgeting module. We won't be using this process next year.
Okay.
Hopefully, it'll be better, but we'll see.
Okay. So we're gonna remove Article 36. Pat?
Article 37.
No, we're gonna, we're voting to
sorry.
remove Article 36.
Whoa, I was ready to move.
Right out of the
Yes.
gate there.
Julie?
Yes.
Virginia?
Yes.
And yes. Okay, so
Green sheet.
we're really down to 2 articles because you misnumbered and then we got rid of them. Okay, now you can go with Article 37.
Which will be Article 35.
Don't even, oh, wait a minute, before you do that. So Jeff, you might want to move the stabilization one till after this next article, because that looks like this is a money one as well. And then put the stabilization one after this,
Yep.
okay? Go.
Article 37, to see if the town will vote to appropriate from available funds in the treasury a sum of money to be used by the Board of Assessors in fixing the tax rate to meet appropriations made for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2014, or to take any other action relative thereto.
I took 2, Kirk, thanks.
Article 38, to see if...
Hold on, I have, what's, why is the,
Selectmen submitting this?
yeah, well,
It's to set the tax overlay. That's the standard article that we use every year to set the tax overlay. There will be an amount at town meeting
This is
rather
not
than just a
set
sum
the
of money.
overlay. I know for years, Dan used to say, this is the wrong wording for this bill, and it's not supposed to be, to fix the tax rate. So, I'm just putting that out here, so,
Fixing the tax rate. I think fixing the tax rate might be the wrong words.
yeah, I'm not sure what the right words are though, so.
Well, we can look into it.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to discuss it.
We know we have an article that has to do something.
Right, it has to,
Like
we
this.
have to have this article,
Right.
it's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
I'll talk to
I
Dan
think-
about proper wording.
I think he's still across the hall. isn't
No, it's...
he? Did he?
Somebody
Somebody said it
Oh,
a
okay.
little while ago.
All right, go ahead, Article 38.
38, to see if the town will vote to amend the zoning bylaws as follows. Change parcels 34, 67, 70, 71 on map 5-5, and parcels 72 and 73 on map 5-6 from residential agricultural 1 to commercial industrial A zoning district CIA. In addition to the above, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 21G and 310 CMR 36.00, remove the aquifer protection from commercial industrial B, land protection use permit language from bylaw 3.2 commercial industrial B zoning district C commercial industrial B. This protection is no longer required with the new DEP regulations in regards to groundwater protection regulations and Zone 2 bylaws. In Section 3.0, use districts 3.1.1, remove -F, home occupation minor. This is not allowed by right in a CIA zoning district. In Section 3.0, use districts 3.1.2, remove -N, home occupation major. This is not allowed by right in a CIA zoning district, submitted by the planning board. Questions, Kurt?
I'm sorry, I was gonna talk to George, but do you have any
Yeah,
questions?
what's this all about?
Just what it says.
Yeah.
Read it again.
Where are we talking?
Um,
What are the maps?
First of all, there's we're trying to expand our commercial industrial base. Some land in Baldwinsville was, when we zoned the town. Our zoning map is depicted by colors, so when the building inspector looks at something, they look at the color versus every individual parcel. Yeah, there were several parcels that were left out. It's actually between the sewer treatment plant and the tracks,
Okay.
up on Mill Street, in that
Yeah.
area right there. So we're trying to fill in the blank. And the water protection zone we're talking about right there, remove F, home occupation. For some reason, home occupation, minor home occupation, sorry, and major home occupation somehow was misprinted as that it was allowed in our commercial industrial districts. It's redundant language in here because the first thing you look at definitions in the commercial industrial is any non-residential use. So we need to boot it back out because it doesn't belong there. And as far as the wellhead protection, just what it says, we just recently had a public hearing, I think it's in here as well, another article. The DEP has since, up till this year, the DEP has ruled basically half the town in our, is aquifer for our wellheads. And it's not the case. Since the water department did studies starting back in 2005, did some flow tests and so on and so forth, and they proved that the wellhead zones are a lot smaller than we thought, what the well actually draws for water to it. So we're identifying new zones, so this way here we don't need, we're taking away the, we have CIA and CIB. CIB district is basically all the land down on 202, which is our commercial industrial.
Yeah.
We have a certain restriction on that land because it was thought to be in the suspect wellhead protection area. It's since been proven that it's not, so therefore we can take the restriction of higher groundwater for like septic separation and it's for development as well. There's stricter development rights in those areas.
Okay.
So we don't need it because it's not part of our aquifer.
Okay.
I think that's all of it. Yeah. Adding to our commercial industrial base, wellhead protection and taking houses out of the commercial industrial zones.
Okay.
Any other questions?
That's good. Just wanted to know where it was in the map you were
That's why I
talking
came here
about.
late, not that I knew you were number 38, I just happened to make number 8, so it worked out pretty good.
It worked. Article 39, to see if the town will vote to amend bylaw Article 2, town meeting, section 13, to read as follows. No vote of the meeting shall be reconsidered unless notion of intention to ask for reconsideration shall have been given after all articles appearing on the warrant have had opportunity to be considered. When a motion for reconsideration is decided, that decision shall not be reconsidered, and no question shall be reconsidered more than once, nor shall any vote be reconsidered on a motion to adjourn, to lay on the table, or for the previous question, submitted by the treasurer.
Isn't that the way we run the meeting anyway?
The current language
no.
says within 1 hour,
Yeah.
and the treasurer felt very strongly, I think from his days as advisory board member, that that was improper process on town meeting, that in fact you should go through all the warrant articles first and then do reconsiderations at the end of the warrant after everyone has been heard. His longer argument, which he'll make at town meeting, is the current bylaw allows people to slam dunk the meeting by putting people in the room, taking the vote, making immediate motion to reconsider, defeating that motion, and then leaving.
Right.
And that's just bad town meeting process.
Exactly.
It's been going on for 20 years.
So he's recommending that the town change the bylaw to just require that they wait till the end of the meeting to take up reconsideration of any articles. Any article for reconsideration gets put to the end of the line, and you come back to it.
Good.
Okay. Article 40, to see if the town will vote to amend bylaw Article 4, Article 4, Advisory Committee, Section 1, to read as follows. The text to be added is underlined. Section 1, there shall be an advisory committee comprised of 7 legal voters of the town who shall be appointed by the moderator as hereinafter provided. No elective or appointed town officer or town employee shall be eligible to serve on said committee, except that a representative from the advisory committee shall be entitled to serve as a member of the capital planning committee and the insurance committee, and then underlined, or on any committee or board at the request or appointment of the Board of Selectmen or their designee, something by the advisory board. Okay, Article
Pretty
Do you
self-explanatory.
have a question? Because what has typically happened this year and past is that you couldn't be on any of those boards as a voting member. So this year here, I actually had to end up making appointments as liaisons, non-voting. An example of when the selectmen put people on was the municipal building committee, the budget subcommittee, personnel. I mean, those should be voting members on that, and they have not been able to. I was not able to vote when I was on, for the budget subcommittee, because I was at the regional school, and I did not.
Have you researched the law to make sure that this is legit, okay to do?
Believe it or not, I looked at other communities and asked a number of advisory boards as to what they saw as opportunities for problems, and I put it that way rather than, and they saw nothing as far as conflicts, etc. Some of their board members in other communities actually run for positions elected. I still would not like to see somebody that's elected or whatever on the board, because that presents an opportunity to end up looking at their budget and say, wow, I really pushed for their budget, man. That's not what we want to do.
My understanding,
Okay.
my understanding is that because you're the check and balance of it, that being on committees that appropriate money or even suggest to the Board of Selectmen that money be appropriated
Well, we
is...
checked the number of resources. We checked the MMA, we checked with...
That's what I was asking you, did...
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. We checked with MMA, we checked with the Attorney General, we also checked with
Fine.
Deborah Wagner, and they all said that that's, your council would end up looking at that. It would be
What
up
about
to-
the
up to
ethics,
us.
ethics committee?
I also had a board member talk to ethics, and they didn't see it as an issue.
Okay.
So, I mean, we covered as much of the
Yeah.
bases as we possibly could, to make sure there was no conflicts.
Okay.
Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate transfer from available funds or otherwise provide a sum of money not to exceed $200,000 for the purpose of repairing the roof and replacing the heating system in the East Templeton Elementary School building to stabilize the building for future use as a Town of Templeton Town Hall, and to authorize the Board of Selectmen to apply for, accept, and expend any grants or CPC funds in conjunction therewith, and to take all actions necessary or convenient to, what is that?
Effectuate.
Effectuate this project.
So I had a question, are we doing this under the levy limit? Are we using CPC money?
That basically, when the board voted on this to submit it, it was questionable whether CPC, we didn't know whether we would get CPC. Depending on what happens with the CPC, whether we will end up passing over this or not.
So basically, you're gonna do one or the other.
Exactly. This also gives us the ability that if that other article does not pass, is to end up looking at performance contracting, and also, like I said, Montezut School is to have their people come in, their kids, and use this as basically education. And also, if you look back at what Phillipston did over a 2-year period, they changed a barn into an annex for their town hall, and they did a beautiful job over there.
Right, my question goes back to the money. If the first article fails,
Yes.
where will the 200,000 come from, if this were to pass?
Hopefully, we'll see what happens with the first article. I mean, I'm looking.
He doesn't know.
Well, yeah.
If
but,
there
like,
is, if there is any money to be available, we'll know at the time whether we have any money in stabilization or not, for free cash.
Well, may I point out, this article says, apply for, accept, and expend any grants or CPC funds, period. Your sources are grants and CPC funds. Number two, I apologize, this is a money article and it should be moved back in the warrant,
Yep.
back further, but this was placed late in the warrant at someone's request. So, if you wanted to actually appropriate, it's gotta say raise and appropriate, and then Selectman Farrell's question is, where the hell are you gonna get the money? So,
It does say raise
raise
and
and
appropriate.
appropriate.
It does say
That's
raise
what
and
I
appropriate.
selected
It does say
Farrell's
raise
asking
and
the question.
appropriate.
So that just kind of needs to be cleaned up or clarified, because I don't think we have 200,000 hanging around under the levy limit.
Yeah.
I want to see East Templeton.
This was basically, if CPC did, and we had the funds available in stabilization, is to at least stabilize that building, so it wouldn't cost us $100,000 to destroy it and not get anything back. I mean, that's really what this whole thing was all about in our discussion.
Right, I understand, but we have no idea we don't have anything in stabilization yet.
Right now, we don't.
Right. So if by.
Right,
this-
however.
The way this is worded,
Hopefully the 163 is gonna go into free cash. We'll end up going in
You
stabilization.
can see him thinking.
I know, he's already spending it. And I'm not disagreeing with the purpose.
Well, one of the finer points of our financial policy says that we should maintain our buildings. And we looked at this as maintaining the building from further deterioration. I mean, that's the perspective that the entire board looked at.
All right, so, well, again, as long as the CPC article passes, we don't need to worry about this article.
Right.
Correct.
And if it doesn't, then we'll have to revise or do a substitute motion. Well, there was no motion made until we read it. So we'll have to work on town meeting floor, just to be aware that this could be a potential issue.
I have a question.
Yes.
I went back to 24 because he was talking about the CPA funds
Yeah.
to do this job. Would the repairs and all the accountabilities and whatnot would be the CPAs, that committee, would they be in charge of fulfilling everything right here? As far as the bid and the pricing and the procurement act and so on, I mean, who's charged with doing this? If it was to pass, who's?
CPC, that would end up, you still have to go through the bidding process, and that would go through our town coordinator, being the person that puts out the bids.
Yeah, I know.
It's the same thing for the tomb.
No, but I'm saying, but the tomb has, if I may, Chris.
Yeah, Al.
The tomb has Alan through the
Overseeing.
Parks and Cemetery to oversee it and prepare docs and there's the legwork part of it. I'm just, just a question.
Who's overseeing
I'm asking
this?
who's the legwork committee on this project if it were to go forward?
Well, that was submitted from the advisory board with my name on it to oversee, at least trying to stabilize that building.
But it's two different things.
Yeah.
My
I
question is, the
understand.
advisory board's not, and with all due respect, Will, I understand what you're trying to do.
Oh, on this particular,
But I'm just
we're talking
looking-
about this particular article, not CPC one.
No,
I'm just talking about the physical,
the
I'm sorry, I went
250,000
back
from
to 24, because I
CPC.
didn't
Right.
see what you were talking about.
Right.
Who's gonna oversee the expenditure of those funds?
I mean, basically,
CPC fund.
who's gonna be in charge of
The project.
the
Project.
Thank you, yeah, I guess that's what I'm
Okay,
trying.
I think at this point, we're probably gonna have to, maybe we can put on the agenda for next Monday's meeting, is to create an East Templeton
Oversight
committee,
something.
oversight committee.
Yeah. That's all what I was trying to get
I
at.
think that's, we're just at that point.
Yeah. All right, so are we all set now? We get back up to, stop coming in so late for a meeting.
I wouldn't get it.
All right, so I think we're
It's not my
up
fault,
to
like, just go on, yeah.
42.
Is that mine?
Yep.
Okay. To see if the town will vote to amend Town Bylaw Article 4 Advisory Committee, Section, oh, did we already do this one?
No,
Okay. 4A to read as follows. All articles, other than those deemed by the Board of Selectmen to constitute an emergency, sought to be inserted in the town warrant for the annual town meeting, shall be filed with the Board of Selectmen and referred by them to the advisory committee on or before April 10th. And all articles sought to be inserted in the warrant for a special town meeting shall be referred by the Board of Selectmen to the advisory committee at least 14 days before the date set for such meeting, or to take any other action relative thereto. That's on page 4 of the town bylaws.
Would there be an objection to putting that as April 1st?
Yeah, I think we moved it up considerably for a reason.
The 20th, then we went to the 15th, and we wound up on the
We went to
10th.
the 10th.
Yeah.
Because that only gives us about a month to go through the process of looking at the budget as well as the articles.
Well, the budget due date is different than the warrant article date.
So we're
Mr. Chairman?
kind of splitting.
Yes.
No.
Point of information, in light of the interpretation that I forced on the board this evening, that referred is not a signed warrant or a voted warrant, I don't have a problem with a date that's early April, as long as it formally recognizes that we're not handing you a signed warrant on the 1st of April. We're just sending you, in fact, a
What we have.
closely worded
Oh, that's just-
approximation of almost everything that's gonna be on the town warrant, so that you can keep, just like as we're doing tonight, so that you can get going with it.
Okay.
Have the month of April to review everything, typically have your pre-town, early May.
No.
Under state law and bylaw, we will post a warrant, a minimum of 14, usually it's 15 days before the election. That's the litmus test, is that posted warrant. So by then, it is cast in stone by 15 days prior.
I just hope we don't have any elections set for earlier than we have now for elections, because that just cuts into the time.
Well, yeah, I know it does, but that's a special consideration this year, so.
Okay. Article 43, to see if the town will vote to amend town bylaw, Article 5, Financial Affairs, Section 5, to read as follows. The selectmen are authorized to sell obsolete town equipment to the highest bidder or bidders only. And the part that's deleted is bid invitation to be published in a local newspaper of general circulation at least 10 days prior to date set for opening bids, or to take any other action relative thereto. So the deletion was the requirement to put it into a newspaper.
right.
Article 44.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why would we want to not put it in a newspaper? Because a lot of people don't have computers just to get it off the
Well, you
website.
don't have to put it, you're just taking away the must.
You're
right?
taking the requirement plus the 10 days, and it's expensive to keep putting it in the newspaper.
I think it's gonna depend on what you sell too. If it's something that you're gonna want, like when he sold the loader or whatever it was he sold, the bucket truck, that doesn't need to go in the newspaper because it's most likely gonna be bought by somebody that's on a website. He sold it on that municipal.
Right, we got a much better price putting it on
Right.
municipal than we did,
If
historically.
it's something
putting it in the
that,
newspaper.
if it's like property, then yes, we will still probably wanna put it in the newspaper so that the locals can see it. It's just requiring us not to have to if we
Okay,
don't deem it
all right.
necessary.
Discretionary.
Okay?
Article 44, to see if the town will vote to amend town bylaw, Article,
44.
thank you, it's getting late.
No Latin.
Official town of Templeton website to read as follows. The Templeton Board of Selectmen shall designate an official town website for the official posting of town business, meeting notices, and agendas of all boards, committees, and commissions, as well as provide for its maintenance, security, and improvement through a specific budget line item in the fiscal year following the passage of this article, or to take any other action relative thereto. Submitted by the Board of Selectmen. Article 45. To see if the town will vote to amend town bylaw, Article 2, Town Meeting, Section 2, to read as follows. Section 2, all business of the annual town meeting except the election of such officers and the determination of such matters as are required by law to be elected or determined by ballot shall be considered at an adjournment of such meeting to be held on the second Saturday thereafter at a time and place designated by the Board of Selectmen or to take any other action relative thereto.
Can you,
Yep.
can you explain what, it's still gonna be held during the week, but an adjournment of it is gonna come up on Saturday?
No.
No,
It-
instead of holding it
Right.
on the Tuesday
The
after the
wording,
election.
the wording in this bylaw says adjournment,
Okay,
which seems like a conclusion, right?
yeah.
But that's the wording in the bylaw. I don't know if you want to change that word too? Commencement?
It's just-
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
It seems like it
It's
should be
just to move town
commencement.
meeting to Saturday instead
Right.
of Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever.
It's currently the second Tuesday of May,
It came
and
up,
it would be moved to the second Saturday of May.
it came up on town meeting floor last year and it got voted down.
Close though, it was close.
In discussion with the moderator, in past years, it had been on Saturday. It was used as an opportunity to start the meeting at about 10 o'clock and give the school or class, whatever, somebody in the school an opportunity to do a fundraiser of having some type of luncheon and then adjourn for a period of time and reopen the meeting in the afternoon after a luncheon period. So
So is it assuming an all-day meeting, is that?
Instead of having it 3
and
nights.
instead of having it over 3 or 4 nights, look at getting it done in one day, like a number of other communities.
A lot of communities are on this device.
Okay.
All right, Article 46, to see if the town will vote to amend town bylaw, Article 2, town meeting, Section 4, to read as follows. Section 4, notice of every town meeting shall be given by posting attested copies of the warrant, therefore in a public place in each precinct as directed by the selectmen, not less than 7 days before the day affixed for the annual town meeting, and not less than 14 days before the day fixed for special town meeting. And notice of said town meeting shall be published in a local newspaper and on the town website, submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
Article 47, to see
Hold
if...
on. What's the change from what this was?
The last words, and on the town website.
And on the
Oh,
town
okay,
website.
that's all we're
Used to
doing is
just
just.
say local newspaper, we're adding and on the town
Oh.
website.
Okay. That's easy enough. Oop.
Article 47, to see if the town will vote to amend town bylaw, Article 7, records and reports, Section 3, to read as follows. Section 3, it shall be the duty of the selectmen to publish the annual report to be made available in the office of the town clerk on the Monday preceding the first Monday in May, submitted by the Board of Selectmen.
It currently says at the town meeting, at the polling places.
At the
Hold on,
polling
yeah.
places, yeah.
And the point being, you know, that's not where you need the report, you need it at town meeting anyway. So make it available to the clerk's office and of course here at the town offices, et cetera, prior to the town meeting.
Article 48, to see if the town will vote to amend the vote taken on June 23rd, 1998 to adopt Chapter 41, Section 23C, and adopt Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 23A by adding a Section 4 to the town bylaw, Article 3, Town Officers. Section 4, Town Administrator. The town may by vote or by law authorize and empower the selectmen to appoint an executive secretary or town administrator who may be appointed by them for a term of 1 or 3 years and to remove him at their discretion. An executive secretary or town administrator appointed under the provisions of this section shall be sworn to the faithful performance of his duties during the time that he holds office. He shall hold no elective town office, but he may be appointed by the selectmen or with their approval by another town officer, board or committee or commission to any other town office or permission consistent with his office. He shall receive such aggregate compensation not exceeding the amount appropriated therefore as the selectmen may determine. he shall act by and for the selectmen in any matter which they may assign him relating to the administration of the affairs of the town or of any town office or department under their supervision and control, or with the approval of the selectmen, may perform such other duties as may be requested of him by any other town officer, board, committee, or commission, submitted by the Board of Selectmen. I'm sorry, I'm running out of breath.
That's all right. Yep.
Do you want to take a
Chris?
break?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, Bob first?
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, we use what, him and he, shouldn't it be they? Because it could be him or her,
Yep,
just
Yeah.
for clerical.
yep. Bob?
Was this article discussed in its entirety and voted on by the board?
Yes, it
prior
was.
to the submission?
Yep. We had it at our last meeting before the articles were due.
The 11th.
Yeah, last Monday.
And this is what you submitted to us that night? It wasn't, it's just a shorter version of it?
I think she,
Sure.
There were two versions. There was one long version which you passed over that actually specified all the duties, ran about
Okay.
4 pages.
yeah.
And this version, which is a exact quotation of state statute. So I point out, and I should recuse myself here, but there's some issue or problem with this. Never mind that the language is state statute and it, no he, no she, etc. If you pass this into a bylaw, then you're still going to have to come back and create the bylaw or take the vote. Putting this to town meeting only creates the possibility of actually making a bylaw or taking a vote to appoint a town administrator. So it's going to be a two-step process,
Right.
unless you change the language. And I, of course, have no position on that.
Chris,
Yep,
just the reason I asked the question was that meeting that you discussed it and everything,
yep.
you said you're gonna discuss and vote on the short version and skip the long version due to lack of time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why I was confused, I thought this section 4 was the long
No,
version.
this is the
This
short
is the
version.
short one.
Okay.
I have my question or concerns, it keeps using executive secretary. Isn't that what the position is now as a town coordinator, really, is an executive secretary?
It is, town coordinator is a misnomer. The position I currently inhabit is the last position called town coordinator in the Commonwealth. The town of Templeton renamed the position of executive secretary as town coordinator in 1998. There is no such position in law, it doesn't exist. I, in fact, am an executive secretary to this board and the town with a title called town coordinator. So, yes, all we did was take state law and plunk it in here, and this is a good discussion, raises a lot of questions. What does the town wish to do?
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to say, just for the record, that I still think that this should be going in the other direction to establish it. I think we should be establishing the charter and going through the whole process. Pardon?
Go ahead.
It's a much better and more stable way to do it. I understand it's gonna cost about $8,000 if we hire somebody to go through that process for it, but I still think that that's a better way to do it. I've talked to some people from out of town that have done it in 2 different ways, and that Hubbardston, you can talk to the guy in Hubbardston, he said it definitely should have been done the right way the first time. So, just wanted to get that in.
Peter?
Check the tape. I'm saying just the opposite. You just said last week, 2 weeks ago, you said we should appoint him as administrator without going through all this rigmarole
I
of the
didn't say
charter.
without going through the charter.
Well, get the tapes and you'll see it.
Get the tapes.
Never mind,
No,
get the tapes. There should be
Peter.
no tapes.
She did say that, what she said. She didn't say.
I've said it at every meeting that this has
Yes,
come up.
She has.
If I may,
Yes.
I also looked into this, and you'll end up having as much controversy as to which way you want to do it as you can about any article, because I've talked to a number of other communities, and they said they did it by bylaw without going through a charter commission, and they felt that was more expedient than spending resources for it. So, I mean, it's...
Bob?
I think if you, with this short version, you had the long version to it, I think that what Virginia said is right, that it should create a charter for the town first. Before you vote there.
That's the more exciting one.
I'm not sure that we need to do a charter. I watched what, a couple of the towns around have been doing with that. I just think it's a waste of
The
money.
man in Hubbardston, he was a light man from Holden when it all started.
So, what's that?
Which has,
And by the way, there is, I could go dredge up the long version of this, which laid out the specific duties. It's another path forward if you want it.
I think that.
Well, and as you said though, this is just going to
I'm just saying if we're gonna do it
say,
this way. then
have the
this is-
town tell us if that's what they want us to do, and then we have to bring it
You
back
still
again.
have to have a vote or a bylaw
Right.
to do it, so it's gonna be
Right. So
another
this
meeting
is a
down
way
the road.
to see if the town wants to proceed in this direction.
Yeah, that's all this is really.
Instead of starting a
Still,
charter committee and finding out.
they may say no to
this.
this, and then we don't have to worry about it. If they say yes, then we take the next step.
Do you want me to read 49?
No, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Are we all done with, is everybody all set with 48? Okay, Article 49. To see if the town will vote to strike from the bylaws, Article 5, Section 6. The town shall on July 1 of each year turn over the Boynton Public Library fines collected from the previous fiscal year and the dog tax money refunded from the previous fiscal year for the unlimited use of the Boynton Public Library. What we want to vote is to strike that whole thing from the bylaws. And the reason I believe was, the library keeps their fines anyway, and the dog tax money doesn't go there. Right? That we,
The bylaws from 1953, and it's just defunct.
yeah. Did you have a question? Questions?
I just wanted to make sure that, I just reread it. And it's
Yeah.
been- I just wanted to make sure it wasn't gonna have any effect on their, because they have special laws.
Right, they'll still get their
regarding
fine money. I mean, it's
Right.
just, the dog tax is really what's being.
Okay.
Article 50, the tax collector or other municipal official responsible for records of all municipal taxes, assessments, betterments, and other municipal charges hereinafter referred to as the tax collector, shall annually furnish to each department, board, commission, or division hereinafter referred to as the licensing authority that issues licenses or permits, including renewals and transfers, a list of any person, corporation, or business enterprise hereinafter referred to as the party that has neglected or refused to pay any local taxes, fees, assessments, betterments, or other municipal charges for not less than a 6-month period, and that such party has not filed in good faith a pending application for an abatement of such tax or pending petition before the appellate tax board. And again, the reason we did the 6-month is right now it's a year. We can't really publish anything to other departments until it's a year in arrears. This way we can do it at 6 months, so if they're trying to get, other fee licenses, then the boards will know that, they're in arrears on their taxes. We're just changing it from a year to 6 months. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure I was right. Article 51. To see if the town will vote to add Section 1A to Town Bylaw Article 3, Town of Officers to read, Section 1A, Selectmen shall not serve in any other elected capacity within the town. Any person elected to the Board of Selectmen shall, no later than the next town election, resign from any other elected position that they hold within the town. Pretty self-explanatory. Having served this year on this board and the Light and Water Board, I've found it to be a conflict in a few times, and I think to avoid these conflicts, that if you're on this board, you should not be serving on another elected board at the same time. So I was actually the one that proposed this article. Article 52, to see if the town will vote to adopt the following bylaw. Notwithstanding any special legislation to the contrary, all funds identified as enterprise funds shall operate under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53, F and a half. believe the reasoning for this was currently the sewer department runs under 44, 53 and a half, and the water department does not, correct?
Right, the legislation, Chapter 93, Acts of 2000,
Yep.
does not specifically state that it will operate as an enterprise under 53F and a half.
Okay, that's the last of the articles that are not citizens petitions. Do we even need to go over the citizens petitions?
Maybe just to mention the number of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 citizens petitions. You all have a copy of them. They have to go on the warrant because we can't say no. That's why they're citizens petitions. So, other than the few changes that we had, we're eliminating one article altogether. We need to spell out the sums in a couple and then just move that stabilization
Move
one.
that up, renumbering accordingly.
Yep.
And I would then suggest that by Wednesday, with those changes, I'll publish again to you and forward a copy to advisory on March 20th for the bylaw.
Okay.
And that will still be labeled draft with that date 3/20/13 on it, but it will be a very substantial working draft. For all intents and purposes, I'll be able to begin working with advisory on budget and the actual numbers that relate to the articles. That is very much the intent, is to spend the month of April working through all the numbers.
The discussion that you and I had this morning about some budgets, are we going to meet with these departments as a board, or are you going to take on the task?
You could give me some direction here, let me brief the public and the members who didn't hear this, that I have budget filings from all the departments, and I put them into the recommended column of the green sheet.
Yeah.
Each department head chose to interpret the instructions that they were given a little differently. For instance, some people increased their hours from 35 to 40, which is their prerogative, but was not a direction. Some people did not. Some people awarded themselves a step increase because a year has gone by. Some departments did not. Some departments restored expense accounts to prior fiscal year 11 levels, others did not. So there's inconsistency in the way they filled out their requests. The direction I need from you is, what should I enforce on the departments? And of course, before I go to advisory with a proposed draft budget, it's good that we have consistency and not let one department do one thing and another differently.
I guess my first thought would be, well, two thoughts. No department should be adding hours back into the budget that were cut last year
Okay,
if they were told to level fund.
right?
And for the same reason, they shouldn't be giving step raises unless we know we're gonna have the money for it,
Okay.
as a town, not as a department.
So the selectmen's budget will have a baseline as same rate of pay per hour and same number of hours.
That's my opinion. I mean,
That's my
We
opinion
we
too.
need this from the board
we
as a
need a
whole.
board to like approve that, I think.
Yes.
I think the last vote that we took was guidance, and I believe we actually voted a 2% decrease.
Yeah.
Decrease.
From level funding.
Right.
So, and quite frankly, looking at the numbers right now, we probably should consider doing that with a 2% decrease because, Will wants to talk.
I don't care
It's all
if I
right.
will.
It's all right. Go ahead.
Bob had his hand up first, actually.
Yeah, when will the budget be available for the citizens?
How soon do you think?
Well, I can have a draft in a week, I think. Around the 1st of April for a draft. Of course, then we go through the whole process, but yeah.
Will?
Just to let you know that during the month of April, the advisory board on 4 Wednesdays will be meeting with a number of departments and they can talk about their budgets. That will be our budget hearings.
Peter?
I read the paper today, it says the election's gonna be held at the middle school gymnasium.
It did?
That's what it says. So.
I believe it's at the high school, isn't it?
Yes, it's
middle
the high school
it's a
gymnasium.
Middle school gymnasium, that's what I read.
We've got the paper.
In today's paper?
Kate,
Well,
do we have
maybe
today's
that
paper?
may not be what the article said. I mean, maybe what the article said, not what
Did
the
we get today's
advertisement
paper?
said. The ad for.
I don't think there was any today, it was in Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Saturdays.
I saw an article in Saturday's paper about the election, but I didn't see anything in today's.
Said,
But, yeah, no, it's gonna be the high school. And we had already talked about that and voted that at a previous meeting, so Mr. Haranas, as usual, didn't get his facts straight.
Some other place.
It's
at
the
the
high
high
school
school.
gymnasium, the high school gymnasium.
And actually, because after the meeting we had with Carol on that, the emergency management team voted or offered their services to help with parking that day.
Oh, that-
At the
Directing
election.
traffic and
Yes,
helping the
So-
elderly.
That's good.
Yeah, and directing people who actually were handicapped or
Yes.
problems
To
to
park
down
right
to
in
the
the
bottom
front, yeah.
parking lot, yeah.
yeah. So, we're hoping it'll be a lot, and I have to get a hold of Mr. Ricken before the election and make sure that none of the sports teams that day park down there, because that fills up the whole parking lot.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem was in the fall. The football team was down there. Yeah. So, yes, Mr. Dennis.
Making the assumption that we're talking about level funding, with your negotiation with, like, the police union and the highway department, were all those in negotiation level funded also?
We haven't had the
We haven't had those
negotiations yet.
negotiations yet.
Well, I can remember attending a selectmen meeting in the Bongo Elementary School when the meeting was postponed and we sat outside for a while you supposedly was doing police negotiations.
That was just with the chief.
That was the chief's
Just with
contract,
the chief.
yeah.
That wasn't,
I
the union
imagine
contracts are up this
I
spring.
imagine we can assume the other people that work in the town that are not union members, that in negotiation, when they do come up, you're gonna really have to level fund when you come to
we have-
Yeah,
negotiation.
unfortunately, we can't talk about union negotiations because we haven't started them yet, so, but we know what's going on.
We have a subcommittee to take care of that.
But those,
You know, we want this type of thing of not being very opaque in our town dealings, where we really can say, and I also see a conflict because supposedly the secretaries of that have become unionized.
We
And
haven't
already
begun-
before you
They
get.
haven't
We
yet.
haven't
Before you
started